It all started at 10:22 a.m. on September 15th, 1963, when a bomb hidden under the front steps of the 16th Street Baptist Church exploded. The 15 bombs had been planted by 4 KKK members right before Mass on Sunday. Everyone was caught off guard by this bombing because nobody thought that the KKK would bomb a church. The bombing killed 4 innocent girls whose names were Addie Mae Collins, Denise McNair, Carol Robertson, and Cynthia Wesley. On top of the 4 killed, 20 people were wounded. This atrocity engulfed the community, sparking an enormous uproar. The riots and marching quickly started. This was interrupted when 1,450 officials were called upon to restore a sense of peace. This goal wasn't going to be easy to accomplish, though, because the crowd continued to gain support. By the time the rioting ended, 2 more people had died. These 2 people were Virgil Ware, who was 13 years old and simply riding a bike, and Johnny Robinson, who was throwing rocks at white people's cars. Shortly after the bombing took place, 4 suspects were established. Their names were Robert Chambliss, Thomas Blanton, Bobby Frank Cherry, and Herman Frank Cash. These suspects were all members of the Ku Klux Klan splinter group called the Cahaba Boys. At first, the FBI didn't pursue the suspects. The city of Birmingham initially offered $52,000 of reward money for the arrest of the bombers. Then, Governor Wallace added another $5,000 for their arrest. On October 8, 1962, Robert Chambliss was arrested and tried for murder for possessing 122 sticks of dynamite without a permit. He was found not guilty of murder and received a $100 fine and 6 months of jail for the dynamite he possessed. It took many years before any of them were convicted for the bombing. In further detail, they were each accused of 4 individual cases of first-degree murder. When the case was first reopened, they lacked physical evidence and had no helping witnesses, and for that reason, it was closed. After reopening the case in 1971, there were many different pieces of evidence, such as the purchases of the dynamite and an interview with one witness that had seen Robert plant the dynamite under the church. Robert Chambliss was convicted in 1977, Thomas Blanton was convicted in 2001, Bobby Frank Cherry was convicted in 2002, and Herman Frank Cash died in 1994 and was never convicted because of his death. The church had been the target of the bombing due to its importance during the civil rights movements. It served as a headquarters for civil rights leaders such as Martin Luther King Jr. It was also the largest black church in Birmingham. The bombing occurred exactly 18 days after Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech. This has led many people to believe that the speech contributed to the reasons that the church was bombed. After all of the commotion with the bombing, people started to realize how serious the issues were in the South. The news of the bombing was surprising to everyone. Even President John F. Kennedy received a wake-up call from this event. After the news reached him, he stated, "If these cruel and tragic events can only awaken this city and state, if they can only awaken this entire nation to a realization of the folly of injustice and hatred and violence, then it is not too late for all concerned to unite in steps toward peaceful progress before more lives are lost." President Kennedy said this hoping that people would take notice of the racial injustices and do what they could to help out the country. Ultimately, the bombing fueled the civil rights movement by displaying what was happening in the United States. The memory of the bombing is kept alive today in Birmingham. It is kept alive by a bronze and steel statue of the 4 girls. The statue was unveiled on September 14, 2013. This was to celebrate 50 years since the event occurred. The statue is located at Kelly Ingram Park on the corner of 16th Street North and 6th Avenue North. Also, the 16th Street Baptist Church was declared a National Historic Landmark on February 20, 2006. The 4 girls, Addie Mae Collins, Denise McNair, Carol Robertson, and Cynthia Wesley, won't be forgotten either. And to show this, the U.S. awarded the 4 girls congressional medals on September 12, 2013. This was for the price that they paid to help change the United States' segregational ways. A lot has changed since the morning of September 15, 1963. Racial injustices are declining constantly. The Ku Klux Klan has lost a lot of power, black people are voting, and the country has become a much more unified place. People today need to be reminded of events like this so that the injustices we experience today can completely disappear. These injustices that we experience today are no different than the ones back then. If we can all just realize this, then the country will become a much better place.